Greetings, fellow viewers. This is the chairman Capo Daniel of PRAP, the People's Right Advocative Platform. 1st of October, a day that used to be an obscure day in our history. In the beginning of the history of us Anglophones in Cameroon, for us Southern Cameroonians that aspire to be Ambazonians, 1st of October was celebrated in Cameroon as a whole as the National Day in 1962, 1963, and 1964. After that, the day was being changed, was removed from one day to another. It was killed until the people of Southern Cameroon starts to feel marginalization, and then it emerged again after the SCNC, the All Anglophone Conference in the early 90s, where the SCNC starts to celebrate and rejuvenate this date, 1st of October. 1st of October, celebrated in Ambazonia as our Independence Day, was the day that this Cameroon, as we know, was born. It was born as a Federal Republic of Cameroon, and eventually it was transformed by the central government from influence from France. From the Federal Republic, it was dismantled to a unitary state, eventually to the Republican state that was established in 1972 by the current president Paul Biya. So I'm going to take you to ground zero. Let us watch these powerful images that are coming from the ground, from the Marine Forces of Bambalang to the United Forces of uh, of Boyo, the forces of Bui, of Mad Dog, of General Tokandu, and the one in Bamesing, Ngokitunja, of the Only Bro, and many other videos that have come. I want to take you to share these videos. It's very important. What is very important as well is the topic of today, which is the path for peaceful coexistence in Cameroon lies in the recognition of this demonstration of the Anglophone identity through the Ambazonian forces in Ground Zero. This powerful presentation should put in the mind of all Cameroonians that the identity of us Anglophones is here to stay, irrespective of the confusion here and there, the miscommunication, the misinterpretation of what this day may actually mean. One must recognize and cannot deny the powerful demonstration of courage, even under the threat of death, that our soldiers have come together to organize this 1st of October celebration together with their local population. I'll take you right away to the videos that are coming in so that we can share and see what does this mean to the future of Cameroon and what decisive steps needs to be taken to finally put an end to this war. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the Marine Forces of Bambalang, one of the most greatest force that was led by General No, that have fought against the Cameroon presence very, very bravely. I want you to watch this video, the player. These are very professional forces, great records of in Cameroon. So despite the fact that the struggle for Anglophone identity, self-determination, independence, or whatever you may call this separatist war, there is no denying of our capacity on the ground to be able to fight. That is why we have called on our people for the meantime to reserve themselves and give the peaceful negotiation a chance, because we believe we have the capacity to be able to relaunch our fighting in a more effective manner with better training, better leadership. If it is required, we can always restart our war effort again. That's why we have called on our soldiers to reserve their gun and give peace a chance. The wonderful demonstration of this 1st of October, I'm going to show you all the videos, and I want you to also remember that even in this modern time, you look like in Catalonia, in Europe, in Spain, where they too were fighting for the right of self-determination. In the most civilized European country, where human right is upheld by both the court, expectation of public, and they have all instruments for human right. The whole population of Catalonia, they rose up in Barcelona to march and demand for secession from Spain. Their leader, their main leader, who was an elected official, was arrested and put in jail. He's still in jail today. You look in Somaliland, where they have actually militarily succeeded to carve out their own territory from Somalia. Still, they don't have that recognition for independence. So, while we recognize a powerful message this 1st of October march passes have sent, we also recognize that independence will not be achieved just by doing this demonstration. We can do it 1,000 times, it will not change a dime in the equation. Independence comes with well-calculated political approach that are able to convince and bring reality to the table. So it's very important that I draw this to the attention of our people. So for the past decades, Cameroon have been mad with this great division. With us, the Anglophone people feel suppressed and discriminated against. We have been excluded not only from decision making at the national level, but we have been discriminated from police recruitment, army recruitment, appointment in high places. Our parents have suffered humiliation of traveling from our territory to the French capital in Yaoundé to go and follow up even money for their retirement. It has been a nightmare of discrimination. Our judicial system have been undermined. We have felt excluded with law made entirely in French, with the country being projected internationally as a French country where there is this English minority people who came into union with French speaking part of Cameroon with the promise of being equal status. All this discrimination, marginalization, and suppression that has made our identity, we feel like we are excluded from that country, have developed deep resentment that have boiled over and have not been addressed properly, and has turned into this deadly situation where our people have to fight for their life and their survival. This tension in Cameroon have resolved with us, the Anglophones, dipping down into our belly and saying that we have our identity, it must be preserved. And this demonstration on 1st of October shows the undeniable fact that the way forward is not to go and kill all these boys, because you cannot possibly kill all Anglophones who fight for independence or who stand for independence. The greatest path for a peaceful Cameroon and a united Cameroon will be for the recognition of Ambazonia's identity, the identity of the Anglophones. This is not about secession or separation. It's about the preservation of something that is a reality that you see on the ground. We are appealing to Paul Biya, the president of Cameroon, to take bold and decisive steps to recognize the Southern Cameroon identity, not with cosmetic special status measures, but to recognize and integrate the Ambazonian people into the system of governance that gives them a say of higher autonomy, power sharing in government, and basic decision making in our own territory. This is the future that you cannot fight. This is the future that you cannot win. Cameroon can never ever destroy the Anglophone identity and culture. This identity, greater autonomy, does not mean separation. It does not mean secession. The demand for outright independence is a natural response for a people whose identity have been suppressed for so long, have been discriminated for so long. In terms of our culture, development in our territory, we have been discriminated for so long and for so much, especially given the contribution to the national budget that comes from our territory. So what we see today is a display of pride, courage of the Anglophone identity by sometimes even illiterate who don't know the left or right. But there is one thing we know, that we Anglophones, we want to be on our own. That is the promise we were made when we joined French Cameroon. To be as equal partner, to be on our own, manage our own decisions about our economy, and this is what we are pushing for. This is the best pathway for peace, sustainable peace, and national harmony, a bilingual one country, two people. Paul Biya must take decisive, bold step to make this happen. So let's watch the videos that are coming from Ground Zero.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Today na 10
So one of the remarkable things
September 20.
is that you see like the restoration forces which we have appealed that you cannot say that you are a restoration force because restoring means going back to what was in the past. Southern Cameroon have never been an independent country of its own. So you cannot say that you want to restore what we used to have because we and then your intention is that you want independence because there is no time in our history where we were independent outrightly. We have always been under Nigeria or under Cameroon or during the period of the British period. So we have always preached against that restoration. And today we see that the restoration forces have now changed their name, the vast majority to adopt the Ambazonian state army that is pushed by Sako, not because they are reasoning, but simply because they want to distinguish themselves from Chris Ano, who do not have any force on ground zero or the allegiance of any force since the demise of his brother. But I want you to also pay attention to the expression of our soldiers because it gives an opportunity for the public to know the mindset and some of the challenges that our people are facing. Let's watch.
Na dem dey for road today for proof and up say dem dey. How we dey want proof and up say dem dey? We don hear say when they talk say go stand there, people dem go the waka, people dem go the motor dem dey strong head, motor dem go dey do some kind thing. Now wey we dey for here today, we no need fly, we no need motor, even a kelebe. This group na group for second Satan. We don't talk am and it go be so. When they hear say second Satan, they go to work and find and work and do this. Una no fit ever see am and una no go ever see am.
So the general it give una a good picture where they go on for ground zero, presenting their name, talking about how they not them be invisible, you know if you find them. Because in reality, our soldiers they know if you really take control of territory the way it's supposed to be. They will always be on the run, carrying very effective guerrilla warfare that is unbeatable. Even America could not defeat guerrilla fighters in Vietnam, in Afghanistan, and many other places. Cameroon can never defeat absolutely Ambazonian genuine fighters. And you can hear the statement of the soldiers. These are soldiers who are crying out loud for power to be able to control their own territory, for power to be able to manage their own resources and preserve their identity. We must see through this pain and resentment that our people have developed as a result of marginalization for over the decades. Let us hear what the general is saying.
The very second Satan wey we don fix am, now we discover am, and now we go book them with am. Can una send any which kind gun, say me come for Bamisi, now we dey for Bamisi. All that school dem wey dem dey for up, they dey wear uniform, they go. Okay. All that school dem wey dem dey for up, they dey wear uniform, they go school. All that school dem wey dem dey for inside Bamunka, inside Bamisi, inside Bambalang, inside Ndop as a whole, the 13 villages them. My year say the school they go where me I never give order. Then go no say inside hand day by hand day. From today as I dey talk.
And this message should be very important because we don't carve out this education policy where it can be adopted by all Ambazonian forces for our community school. For any school for go on, that area, it be very important me they recognize it will be in a situation of a conflict. It is a responsibility of those people who open school to make sure that that environment is safe for the children to go to school. We have put out guidelines that no student should go to school with uniform. Every school are respecting this order except some few schools that are used by the Cameroon government or those who are trying to inject war or provoke the war situation to force teachers and students to put on their uniform so that they can provoke Ambazonian fighters. There is no need for that. Every school must go without uniform to respect the boys who are in the bush, to respect the fact that our people are in a crisis for their identity. Every school should go without uniform, and they must contact the general in charge in that area to inform him so that they come to a consensus about the rules and regulation so that our students will be kept in a safe place where they are sure that the Cameroon military will not come and attack them, the Ambazonian fighters will not come and attack them, and students can go to school while the conflict continues in its own background. This is very critical. We have insisted on that and we have put out that, and you see how our soldiers are also expressing the same. These are policies that we have articulated, we have pushed forth to our public so that we can protect the right of our children to go to school even during wartime.
Then for that time, me and whole Ambazonian know, say, how we will do for you today. How we will stand for Ambazonian land. Then they talk say, we will not be Ambazonian State Army. We be start within the Ambazonian State Army. We can't die where we be in the Ambazonian State Army. What power be born we in the same way for this war on Sagon? Sagon don't die, he don't go, he don't left we. We dey follow a footstep. We no go ever.
So when I hear how our soldiers they talk, they stand and say we'll be na ARF or we'll be na ASA. That means say the Ambazonian State Army. The one being na the one they will die na for the one in name. And we understand that these are uneducated political positions that our soldiers are taking. You don't expect political savvy to be expressed by soldiers, but it represents and it reflects the nature of our struggle that have become so partisan that people are willing to die for their groups. People, their affiliation are so important for them. And these are some of the things that have taken away the national outlook of our struggle, where soldiers are segmented and it's difficult for us to coordinate any meaningful push against the Cameroon central government. So I want to point that to you, but the soldiers are expressing, in essence, strong defiance against the Cameroon central government, upholding our own Anglophone identity, expressing it even under these circumstances. And it is something that we must appreciate. And it's something that the Cameroon government, to have a peaceful and unified Cameroon, must recognize that this is the reality on the ground. So I'll take you now in wonderful celebration. Look at all these boys.
Any moment from now, ladies and gentlemen,
we have the
march past shall commence.
We lack the
military marching in front,
coordination.
while the civilians are following behind.
If you notice, during the time I have pushed for community participation where we have schools, during the time when I was with the AGOFC and the ADF, you saw me pushing for projects to build our community roads, engaging in these communal projects that are very important for us to sustain the psychology of our identity and nationalism. That is really missing. Nevertheless, you can see the massive presentation of our population, bigger than what we have seen organized by the Cameroon state in our territory for the past 80 years. It's very impressive, especially when they are coming knowing that they are taking huge risk in their life. So this is very powerful. We want to thank General Tokandu and all those who are behind this effort, that these are really the reality on the ground. And we want to see the recognition of Southern Cameroon identity, this reality on the ground, should be recognized by Cameroon. The Cameroon government have made cosmetic acknowledgement of our historical identity. And they have to know that the only way for peaceful coexistence will be to embrace this diversity, not to fight it, not to commit genocide. They cannot possibly kill every of these students or every of these boys carrying guns. They can never, they will never, they must adjust to this reality in order to avert this beautiful country, Cameroon, to become like Colombia, to have 40 years of guerrilla warfare, wasting the life of young men, retarding development, socio-political development, for what else? The cost to solve this war is very, very cheap. And the Poor Bear, we appeal to Poor Bear to take decisive steps towards reconciliation and recognition of the reality of the Anglophone identity, which is legitimate, which is enshrined in the formation of this country, Cameroon, as itself. So the video goes on and on. You can see other parts, other demonstration, our civilian coming up massively to show that they are Ambazonians. This is in the backdrop of huge attack by our soldiers against our population. But you can definitely see that irrespective of that, the people are yearning to have a country where they can identify with, to march with a flag they can identify with. Cameroon should not be afraid of Ambazonian flag. Neither should Cameroon be afraid of an Ambazonian identity. It is all over the world. You go to Quebec in Canada, they have their own national anthem, they have their own flag, but they are still one country, Canada. But the minority people in Quebec, they have safeguards to protect, enhance, and develop their own identity that the vast majority of people in Canada do not have. You go even in the French territories, you see the same thing. You go to England, you see the Ireland and the Scottish people, they have the same thing. I remember in our trip to the Basque country, the Spanish government have given it, they have their own parliament, they make their own laws, they decide on their own developmental project, they handle their own budget. That is what we want. An equitable country where we, the Anglophones, we can have equitable presentation at the national level. We can believe we can have our own space for our own football team, for things we can take pride in. Look in Hong Kong, in China, you have Hong Kong have their own national team. They participate in World Cup alongside China. It does not spoil the part that they are one country. This diversity is not separation. It's just a recognition of a reality. We cannot fight against reality. Ambazonia, Southern Cameroon, that name itself should not be seen as separation, should not be seen as secession, but should be adopted and respected and preserved in a civilized manner. As we work towards bringing Ambazonians together, and eventually we'll have a wonderful big Ambazonian come together of all Anglophones of all stripes to come together for consensus building on the way forward. We will continue to preach and advocate for the preservation of our identity, and for the Francophones to recognize 1st of October as a national day, and to recognize the mistake that was made in the birth of the 20th May, so that they can come back to the root where Anglophones and Francophones can work hand in hand to celebrate 1st of October, the day Cameroon was born. Cameroon as a state, as a country today was created, was established, was born on 1st of October 1961, where the former French Cameroon joined with the former British Cameroon to merge as the Federal Republic of Cameroon. Two territories form one country that have been transformed, and within that transformation, the identity of one part of that equal state have suffered suppression and subjugation that should not continue. So let us continue. Happy National Day to all Cameroonians, and call on the head of state of Cameroon to take decisive decisions, decisive steps for national reconciliation, national unity, to recognize the reality of Southern Cameroon identity. And for all of our soldiers, fall back, hold your gun to your chest. If we pursue this path of dialogue, reconciliation, and it fails, nothing will stop us from coming back, because we cannot fight when we have lost the legitimacy of fighting. We cannot fight, we will not win. We can only fight when we have the legitimacy, when we have won the trust back of our people, rekindle the international interest in a positive light. That can only happen if the path for negotiation fail because the other side refused to show up. Right now, we are engaged in international diplomacy to seek for recognition and endorsement by state party for a specific solution that calls for the devolution of Cameroon to preserve the national borders of Cameroon within the one country, two people system. We call on every Ambazonian groups, patriotic people who love our people to come together, rally behind us and behind this initiative of the peace plan paper. God bless you all. Ciao.